Today I wanted to sit in front of the camera, first of all because my baby is sleeping and I'm trying to be a little quiet, but I want to talk to you guys. And second of all, I wanted to finally open up and talk to you guys about my new brand, Eves, which is the dress I'm wearing right now. Ta-da! This is sort of the loungy look, the super sexy kind of dress. And it's got a zip, so it's super comfortable. And I chose this to wear to talk to you guys. So first of all, I wanted to talk to you guys about the brand name, the logo behind, which if you do follow me on Instagram, I spent a couple of days just creating this little canvas right here. And then third, how I source my products. I wanted to make this video to be able to talk to you guys transparently about how I'm creating my brand so that you are more aware of where this brand is coming from and how it's created, and that you guys are more less reluctant to press that buy button. So here we go. First of all, and not least at all, I have been creating videos to put up on my YouTube channel since forever, and I always wanted to become this person who is communicating in front of the camera to the people who are watching this. And I realized that I wanted to create this beautiful visuals, interesting contents, and I ended up sometimes sort of manipulating information or not disclosing everything fully. And I think that has been an obstacle for me to sort of really get to know you guys and for you guys to get to know me. And for me to become this person that you guys are interested to know about. And because now I am creating my brand, and also I'm working on a couple of projects at the same time, I felt like it's very important to be clear about what I'm doing and how I'm doing things if I want you to be part of this. And so starting with my brand, I wanted to do that. And so first of all, the name of my brand. So the name of my brand is written as YVSE. So in English, initially I wanted to read it like wives, meaning wife in plural. And I have been a wife for 3 years. And as I stepped into the role of being a wife, which I had no idea about. I probably like thought about things here and there as I was growing up as a woman. But when I really stepped into the role of wife, I realized that there are things that you do as a person, as a girl, as a woman who wants herself to be herself. And at the same time, there are things that you want to do as a wife when you're a couple with your husband, either it be like sort of hanging out with other couples or doing a couple life sort of activities or couple goal kind of activities. And I realized that at the same time, like it's more important for me to keep myself as I am, even if I am identified sometimes as a wife. And so I wanted that to be expressed as what I'm wearing, and not just exactly the clothes itself, but like the style that I'm portraying, the person that I want to be by wearing the clothes that I choose to wear that day. And I felt like whatever you have to do as a wife, and right now I'm a mom, you can always be glamorous, you can always be stylish, and you can always be that person that you want to be, even if you have to change diapers. So I wanted this brand to represent all the women who have multitasking like jobs on their hands, because it's what life gives you, but then you can be as stylish and as confident and as empowering as you want to be. And so that's how I landed on the name Wives, and then I registered it in Korea. So it's a registered business name in Korea. And then when I opened my Instagram account, I realized I'm actually in France right now as I speak. And the way people would read this in France, it's not Wives anymore, it will be Yves, which is kind of like all these brands like Yves Saint Laurent, like Yves Rocher, which is sort of like a commercialized beauty brand. And my brand kind of spelled similarly, but isn't exactly spelled the same way. It's actually YVSE, whereas those brands are like YVES. And so that's why even in French, it will be read as Yves and not Yves, like Yves Saint Laurent. You can actually pronounce S. And then it just kind of gave that feeling of being more fashionable, more sort of like chic. And so I like that as well. And so at the bottom of things, like the meaning was to empower all women of multitasking roles in their life with the style that you portray. And I really want my brand to be that sort of gateway for you guys to throw on a little dress, throw on a little jacket, throw on a little denim, and feel confident to do whatever you have to face that day as a woman, as whoever you are in this world as a woman. And so this is for you guys, and this is a brand for you guys. Okay, so second, I want to talk about my brand logo, which is actually right here. It's this little elephant guy right here. And I painted this blank canvas. It was actually a canvas that I had bought in an art shop to be able to stick my Polaroids that I took along my pregnancy and along my delivery and a couple of months into raising up my little baby. And this was a blank canvas with all these like hashtags. If you can see little marks here, those are the hashtags that I use to put underneath my little Polaroids that I put up here. And then obviously we had too many photos, I couldn't fit everything in, and so I wanted to reutilize this blank canvas. So I pulled it down. I chose my background color, which is sort of the neutral tone that I really am into these days. So this is actually called warm gray. So I painted it all over, and then I actually had some plants at home that was dying, unfortunately. And so I took the leaves of the plants, and then I sort of just like put it on top of it and then painted over. And then when I took that off, it gave me this little really nice little touch that is actually just the blank canvas behind it in the form of the leaves. And so when I had done that, I let it dry, and then I drew my little elephant here. And I don't know if you can see, these are actually two elephants. So this outside big elephant with the trunk here, it's the mom elephant. And then inside, you get the baby elephant. That's why you have the two dots. They're the two eyes. And I actually have this tattooed on my ankle. I have to show you my ankle right here. Super small. I don't know if you can see it. And my feet are not manicured, pedicured at all. And when I say we, I actually had this tattooed with my mom when we were traveling to Singapore together as like a mom and daughter holiday when back in the days I was living in Indonesia for like 3 years. And we were like, my mom's so cool, like she is the last of baby boom generation, the beginning of like generation X, I would say. And she is definitely more conservative than I am. She dresses more conservative than I am. She's been through that social changes in Korea where women were like becoming more like sort of open to express themselves, and a lot of more feminists were like out speaking into the society of a super sort of male dominant society. My mom grew up during those changes in her life, and she wanted me as a daughter to be a person who is well-spoken, who is independent, who is able to have a career, have a financial freedom, and do all the great things that I wanted to do in my life. And obviously as a teenager and growing up, me as a person and as a daughter, I did have a lot of, like struggles with my mom and trying to get my opinions out there through my mom, like sort of outspeak my mom when she had all these ideas on me. So I guess we had some rough patches here and there. But then eventually when I grew up, I understood what she wanted for me. And right now that I'm a mother and she's been a mother for me and my brother, like we bond so strongly for everything, and we can really talk about everything. And when I wanted to create my brand, she was the first one that I would just lay out all the details that I wanted for my brand. And she was sort of my backup for finding everything that I needed, and even giving me that courage, those little strengths that I needed here and there to be able to continue while I was so tired of motherhood and like everything else in my life. And so this brand is actually created by me and my mom, and it's also empowering us, both of us, as wives, as mothers, as women, and as just simply two women in their life who wants to achieve things with a common goal. And because we have this tattoo, and the reason I chose this tattoo was to choose an animal, a spirit animal that I found to be like very protective. Like elephants, they are super protective of their family and their race and their whole like elephant tribe, so that if there's like a grandpa elephant who is like separated from another baby elephant, the grandpa elephant can feel that sort of attachment to the baby elephant, and they will protect each other. And I don't know if that's the right way to explain it. And so that was why I had chosen this tattoo, because I wanted me and my mom to feel that, even if we're not next to each other all the time, because I'm not living in the same country as her all the time. And so I felt like this is perfect for sort of creating our own logo, and it became a logo. It became our logo. And so hopefully one day I will be able to create like some simple branded items with this logo, because I wanted this to be a symbol to empower you guys at the same time who is feeling that about with your mom or your life in general, and to wear something of the elephant logo that I've created to empower you. So that's about our logo. And lastly, and I really don't want to blab on, because I know like one person just speaking in front of the camera is like the most boring thing in the world. But I really wanted to talk about how I source my clothes and the production. So basically, if you are a Korean and if you even have any friends or know about the industry, Korea has a huge garment district, which is full of people who are manufacturing clothing, wholesale selling clothing, creating clothing, designing fabrics, and then selling matching accessories, shoes, bags, and yeah. So it's like one of the biggest like industry in the whole of country. And there's a history to it because back after the war, like the World War II, and like Korea was sort of like a war field, when the country wanted to get back on its feet, obviously everything was destroyed and people needed to work to produce something, and at that time labor cost was very cheap, so labor intensive industries grew really fast, which were stuff like socks, shoes, zippers, you know, all these things that you can manufacture and export. And then with those little elements of like zippers, buttons, socks, whatever, it grew into like garment, and then eventually a lot of people from that generation ended up getting into the garment industry. And currently, and also when I was younger, it was like an industry that everyone knew was super strong, and it was one of the world leading qualities that you could find. And so in our generation, what we do is, instead of creating those garments, because there are already a lot of factories doing that, we go and select the designs that we like. And then because we are a generation of social media, we are a generation of e-commerce, and even with the pandemic, everyone is sort of shopping from home. The online shopping and the whole sort of business around it is done by our generation. So we would go to the wholesale market, we will deal with the manufacturers, the wholesalers, to find the design that we like, and then bring those samples and like choose all the colors, choose all the fabrics that we want. And then once it's the design that we like, we would market everything from like doing the photo shoots and then putting it on our website, and also doing all of the advertising, marketing, communication around it, which nowadays it's so much more handy because the social media is like surrounding us. And so my business model is also not by doing my own production, but I work with those manufacturers where I find the styles that I want to sell, I want to represent. I select the fabrics, and then we would put them on our website. And as I am creating my website and slowly on, okay, that just cut off. So as I am currently like finishing off my first look of the website, I recently wrote the about pages, and I wanted to be very clear about where these garments are coming from. And as a result of me choosing the garments that I wanted to represent wives, I realized that like before, 100% it was made in Korea, and that was sort of the pride and the strength of like choosing garments from this Korean like garment district. But then recently, because there is definitely, you know, a rise of labor cost, and then the rise of all the other like fixed costs and rent, and because people are more online than going to the market, a lot of wholesalers have been struggling to keep the same business model in Korea. So a lot of them either closed their factories or moved their factories to China to be able to meet the costs to produce as they did before, because people still wanted to have the affordable like wholesale price that they used to do before. And so even in our consciousness, like made in Korea is so much better than made in China, some factories had no choice but to move out to China, because if not, they would probably just close down their whole business. And so now what we find in this Korean garment district is that I would say from what I choose, I ended up choosing about 80% made in Korea products and then 20% in made in China. And for example, this satin dress that I'm wearing right now is actually made in China, and I was super surprised because the finishing is so good. The fabric, I don't know if you can see it, is actually very sturdy and thick, even if this is sort of like the loungy look. And the design and all of like the seams, all of these linings at the back, all these like sort of fabric, everything is really well made, and I was pretty much surprised. And it's kind of hard to find if like everything, meaning like designing process and then like the pattern process and then the whole manufacturing process, all of it is done in China or it's partially done in China. But even if like on the garment it would be coming out as like made in China, a lot of them when I received the samples, they were really, really great. And even design-wise, it was really sort of the designs that I was searching. And so that's why like 80% of my merchandises ended up being made in Korea and then 20% made in China. And then when I was writing out my about page, I really hesitated because at first I wrote that like transparently, because it's not like those made in China products are bad and they're like low quality, and it's not like we're not accustomed to it. There are so many brands, like fast fashion brands, who make a lot of things out of China as well, and so many other markets that have lower labor costs. And so I wasn't ashamed of it at all. And also that's sort of the reality that I'm facing as well. But then eventually I rechecked all of my designs, and I realized that to keep everything made in Korea is, even if my brand is small and my volume isn't as huge as those influential brands, if I keep like pushing my garments to be made in Korea, then it means like I'm sort of empowering and reinforcing the decrease in the Korean manufacturers to get better, to have more push, more orders, and like keep up with their industry. I'm just a mere person doing her startup with this kind of mindset, but hopefully if this grows bigger and I'm able to export all of my garments outside of Korea, which I'm currently doing, I really hope that this could bring the vibe back to the Korean garment industry. And as a Korean, I really wanted that. So finally, at the end, I ended up not choosing all of the samples that I had gotten as made in China, and I am now deciding to stick to only made in Korea products. And I really wanted to tell you that to you guys, just to be able to explain myself correctly, and also to have that brand identity as made in Korea brand. In the long run, I really hope that I can move on to more segments with this brand, but currently I am focusing on clothing and garments and possibly accessories, and all made in Korea. And so I really hope that I will be able to like communicate with you guys about the styles that I'm doing, about like the quality that I'm doing, and hopefully my brand can grow. And with you, with your feedback, with your love, with your support, and hopefully one day I will be able to move on to the next segments, which I'm so excited to keep developing. So tune in to my channel. I am going to be uploading lookbooks every time I have new merchandises, and I hope you love them. My new website coming up is Eve's Shop, which is super easy, and so is my Instagram handle for the brand. And so you can always check out the new products. And thank you so much for listening me to this babbly long discussion about my brand. And thank you so much for watching again. And hopefully I'll see you guys back on my channel. So thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.